Welcome to Church Jams Now, the podcast where three former youth group kids and current music nerds deep dive. I forgot how it goes. I've been doing so good this year. I've been doing so good this year. What happened? Deep dive into Christian music from the 90s and 2000s. Well, it's because that's not what we're doing tonight.
Normally.
I'm thrown off. I, of course, am your co-host, Kylan Savage. With me, as always, is Mr. TJ Smith.
Hey, man, I got a question for you. Do you ever just get sick of old berries?
We throw them out.
You know, this question just makes me... You know, every time you come with a new question, I just have a sense of hope and wonder. I feel like a kid again. And, of course, we have beautiful producer Josh.
Those are good. I got nowhere to go from there. Well done, guys.
And returning special guest, friend of the show, Aaron Newberry. How's it going?
Pretty good right now, yeah. Thanks for asking.
I'm very excited. It's going to be you and your cicada tonight.
Yeah, actually, funny enough, that same cicada appears on a single that's coming out in a couple months. So I literally did a full piano track, one take thing, and the cicada was in it, and I was just like, I'm going to leave that in.
It's in the moment.
Yeah, left it.
Yeah.
Leave it in, man. It's just texture.
Yeah.
Probably
just a featured artist.
Best moment of that cicada's life. Are you going to have on the song featuring cicada?
Credits featuring cicada.
Well, funny enough, it actually does feature an artist. We just dropped a song on Friday called Praise. It's her song. Her name is Sarah, but she goes by Crotchy, and her musical avatar or world is surrounded by the idea or the name Nulu. And so that song came out last week. So actually somebody and a cicada are featured on that. Yeah.
Multiple features. Wow. That's heavy hitters.
Yep.
Just
busy summer.
Stacked.
Feature rich.
Yeah. Feature rich.
So I know we just did this off air, but what are we doing? Josh.
I have to explain it all again.
Well, for the listeners this time. I should have just waited and had you explain it.
No, that was good. I needed a test run to kind of make it a little bit more succinct.
Exactly.
We'll see if it is any more succinct. We're doing a little bit more of a less structured, more of a discussion episode. We thought would be fun. One, Aaron has some new music coming out, so we're going to talk about that. But we also want to use that as kind of a launching pad to talk about what the state of streaming is like these days for independent artists, what it's like for people. I mean, I know we normally hear about streaming. You hear about streaming a lot, and depending on how much of an avid music follower you are, you could just be on the consuming end of streaming, but also want to hear and get perspectives on the artist end of streaming, so Aaron is dropping new music out. TJ has some new music coming out. Kylan has some new music in limbo.
I don't know what's going on with it.
I don't know where it is. It's somewhere in the streaming pipeline. Yeah. We'll see when it lands. But I felt like we could all talk about just that as artists, and then also just what we kind of see in the modern world when it relates to streaming and how that's affected our music packages, and how, I don't know, how we're supposed to go about releasing music and promoting music as an independent artist. So those are just some thoughts, some ideas.
Yeah, I'm excited to get into it because I just feel like, you do get this sort of polished version from the streaming platforms themselves. Like, I don't know about y'all, but I get all kinds of, the algorithm just serves me up ads from Apple Music and Spotify and all this stuff. And so you've got this version that they're sort of serving to you, and that's really fascinating. But then to have a handful of different artists, first and foremost, Aaron with us today, like sharing their experience firsthand about how it actually feels and how it looks kind of behind the scenes, how the sausage gets made, and the impact of that process. That to me is a super fascinating conversation. So and that we're all in different stages of making and releasing music and the rollout process. Just hearing about our experiences, our disparate experiences with that, sounds fun. So I'm on board for it. I'm excited to get into it.
I have thoughts.
All right, let's go. Aaron, what do you got, man?
Going for the gullet here, gang.
Let's do it. Let's not mess around.
Yeah, I kind of view streaming as in parallel with the economy. And it seems like just like in the economy, there's a little bit for the people at the top. Like there's like the 1, 2, 3% at the top. There's like a, okay, I'll start it over. There seems to be a massive concentration of opportunities in the streaming world for people at the highest of levels who already have all the resources that they need, who can afford PR, who can drop an album on a day's notice and get millions of hits. Meanwhile, you've got the middle class who's like slowly eroding. And I would call myself a part of that middle class because I'm like 9 songs in, just about to release my 9th song. And I've like just cracked, 5 figures in streams. And I will never make an excuse like there is no woe is me here. I don't feel bad because I haven't gotten those streams. I would love to earn an audience and listeners, and I've been trying to find my way as an artist. But as it pertains to the streaming as a whole, it seems really hard for people to break through the noise if you don't know somebody or have a lot of money to throw at a campaign or get just super duper lucky. I've tried tons of stuff too. I've tried Muso Soup. It's trash. No offense to Muso Soup, but it's garbage. I've had some luck with Submit Hub, but I keep spending a little bit of money basically to gather data, and the data that I'm getting in return is I'm wasting my money. And so I'm trying something a little different with this release, working with a distributor who's like pitching me to playlists and stuff, because they heard me through another artist that I worked with, and they work with some big artists. So I'm like,
right.
I don't have anything to lose because there's no, like, PR to me feels like a scam at this size of an artist, like somebody who really has a small audience. PR is going to come along, and I have never heard, and again, no offense to anybody that works in PR or anybody that does a great job at PR, but I have only ever heard bad things about PR from people that have tried to hire people to do PR. It just seems like a waste of money. Consistently, people throwing away $1,500 and like, what am I getting for this? So I'm doing a model where
besides like artificial, potentially like artificial inflation of numbers.
Yeah,
that seems.
And those metrics typically they're not quantifiable in a really good, like engagement, for instance.
Right. No. Yeah.
I don't know if you can see, I don't know if, I just get the sense that nobody's gotten like a huge uptick because they paid somebody $1,500 to do PR for their music.
Yeah.
Dave's followers, blah, blah, blah. It's all about engagement. So, which leads me to social, but we can get into that later because to me, the worlds are very intertwined.
Right. Well, it's interesting to me. I've noticed a similar thing within podcasting as well. Like there's specifically,
we get hit up all the time.
We do. There's a PR firm that represents another show that's sort of within our sphere that has reached out to us like multiple times. But then when I look at the actual engagement that show's getting, like their listening numbers are hundreds of times more than us, but their actual engagement in the show is like nothing. And so it feels like at this point, I don't know, I like some PR people have figured out, it does feel like a scam. Like it feels like they've figured out a way to extract money from people that don't necessarily know what they're doing.
Yeah.
And until you spend the money to get the data to let you know that you're wasting money.
Right. But by then they're gone.
Which is
they're
a
done.
shame.
They got
like
their money and they're done.
Yeah, and honestly, like it makes me mad because you just hope that in the world of art, like that there's some sort of respect and integrity happening. But I'm just playing my role as the idealist on the show right now, and I feel like I have to, and I want to believe in, deep down the good nature of people around in this world that we're this ocean that we're swimming in. But like, I also acknowledge that, if somebody finds a way to make a quick buck, like they're probably going to capitalize on it.
My perspective is that no one's coming to save us and that it's really just up to us. Like I'm the manager, I'm the PR, I'm literally like doing like tons of my own social content. I'm lucky enough to have a lot of amazingly talented people around me in the film industry that I work in, and everyone's down to let me be their muse and shoot videos and stuff, which is why I have some cool videos coming out soon.
Nice.
I'm really like fortunate because that's a part of this audience building. Like it's not just one, it's a ton. My homie Jaw says that by way of my friend of Bender, but like it doesn't take one, it's a ton. Like you have to just keep chopping and then a song will hit or a video will hit or you'll get a license or whatever. But it's like my belief is that you have to be a prolific artist to make waves in the way that media is consumed now. Like you just have to always be putting stuff out to get anybody's attention. And the entire economy that we're talking about is attention. Like I could sell a ton of merch if I had the attention of 1,000 listeners, right? So like that's a direct stream to revenue. And again, not woe is me. These are the facts. I knew getting into this, starting over as an artist, that it was going to take years to break probably, or just even get, attention from, people that weren't just like my friends or in my sphere, so.
Dude, we get it.
Yeah.
We definitely get it.
But one thing I'm hearing, Aaron, I feel like is, you're mentioning friends. And so I feel like what I'm hearing is like the relationships that you build as you do your work, as you hone your craft, as you continue to put music out there and you're busy, you're active, you're always kind of working on the next thing. And, but never like at the risk of losing relationships or burning bridges, but always like maintaining relationships, finding new people that kind of are on a similar wavelength or one that's like neighboring to what you're doing. Like you can kind of see them over there and you find ways to kind of be mutually beneficial to each other and help gas each other up and help kind of buoy each other up in the ocean, to use my metaphor from earlier. Like it's like you're all the ships and hopefully you're all rising with the tide, but you're helping each other along as you go. Would that be fair to say, the relationship aspect being fairly important at the scale that you're working at?
That aspect of it is so important for two reasons. One is I'm a collaborator. I want to collaborate. I prefer to collaborate. I don't like working alone all the time. I do sometimes, but the best stuff that I do is always because someone else's brain is on it too. Someone else's ideas sparks my ideas, sparks their ideas, and so on and so forth. But the other thing is, like, because I don't have a marketing budget outside of whatever I can afford, which I'm not willing to spend anymore, I'm going to spend that money on plane tickets to get to LA to write with the people that I write with out there, because they are not only my friends and a community that I'm building, but they also have reach. They have reach that I don't have. And it's cool. It's also like it acts as an enormous encourager when somebody that you really respect or admire, that's on another level, is like, yo, I love working with you. You want to sing on my song? Like, I feel so fortunate that I had a door open for me by my friend Bender, by way of my friend Trep. And that has opened so many opportunities for me as a writer in LA. And honestly, like, he's the executive producer on my forthcoming album and all these singles that you're about to hear. He's touched in some way if he didn't produce it completely or help me co-write. So like everybody needs a Bender. And I agree with James Blake. James Blake says that a great producer should change your life. And I say this all the time, but my homie Bender has absolutely changed my life, because I'm not sure I would have enough wind in my own sails to do this if he hadn't opened, all these doors to me. And it's just because of your belief. He's just like, you're a great artist. I believe in you. Let's do this. So, yeah, it's hugely important.
Well, I mean, I think this entire conversation also, I think, speaks to that level of collaboration, right? Like, because, you talked about, like, you as an artist don't necessarily have a marketing budget, but you've made these connections, and like we've all become friends. Right. And so then, like, this is an opportunity, I think, for everyone involved, right, to do something interesting and to signal projects that we like, and to have a conversation in a way that, like, can be used as press, but also just as a way to, like, connect with other people that are
and encourage each other
doing creative things. I think it's so rad.
Like you said, have that relationship with the producer that changes your life. Like every little interaction and relationship that you have can also have that same level of impact.
Right.
And like, even this conversation can be like a small piece of that. And then some other, writing session that you have next week is a small piece of that. And it just continues to spur you on. And hopefully, like you said, Aaron, fill the wind in your sails that you need, that like all of us really, I think artists in general, like we don't want to be blowhards. You're either a total narcissist and you're off the deep end,
right,
or you like don't believe in yourself at all. And neither is great, right? So like finding that middle space and having those people around you that can help you see yourself. Can like
push you. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's so important.
A lot of times I just look to my friends, like people that are like, you're crushing it, you're killing it. And I'm just be like, I'm not delusional, right? Like, it isn't bad, is it? Like, I'm not about to go on American Idol and get egg on my face, right? Like, so, yeah, they also play that important role, which is like, Bender always says, like, just trust the process, which that's such a, or he doesn't say that. He says it's like the plan is working is what he says. But the idea is like, trust the process. And the process is like, I can ensure failure if I quit. But I don't know if I'll fail if I just keep going. So
Yeah. So it's that simple.
Yep.
But it does mean you have to keep showing up and keep trying.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot when you're... I think that one of the hardest things is that if I want the resources to be able to pay people that I admire, like art and producers and people to help me with my music videos and all that stuff, it really, really adds up. And I get like, homie rates and deals, but I really would love to reach a point where I can be like, nah, what do you want? I'll pay you that. Because I want to be able to share in the value add of each other too. So like my hope is that eventually, I really model a lot of my artistry after like someone like Donald Glover. I'm not comparing myself to Donald Glover, but what he's done, in building his like internal franchise and own team and empowering creatives and working with similar people, like often, like I love that. I love the idea of a rising tide lifting all those boats. So it's like, if I make money, y'all make money. Like, I'm not trying to hoard this. I want to go there together. And I get it. It's just me. I'm the only artist here. But like, I also have a lot of collaborative relationships that mean a lot to me that have stoked and fanned my flame. And I want to fan theirs as well. And I would love to be able to do that in a monetary way, not just in like, you're great, man.
Yeah. So, man, I fully get that. As someone that also like is on that side of it of just like, yes, I will use all of my graphic design resources, all of my animation resources for your project. Let's just do it. Like, I don't expect that monetary gain, but I love hearing like we all just want to like we all want to reach like we don't want to reach superstardom, but we all want to like
I do
okay
that's why you're on the show then.
we all want to like
there.
We all want to make a living doing something creative, and we don't want that middle class to erode entirely. I want to be comfortably, like a comfortably middle class creative. Like sounds incredible in 2024. That sounds like the dream in like late stage capitalism. Like that is the dream at this point.
100%. Like I said, I have so many thoughts on this and like social media, just to kind of like switch it up from streaming. The pandering is, to me, like that's a bubble. Like, I'm sorry, but like I can't stand seeing the like day 70 or 30 or posting it until I get 1 million plays or whatever. I'm just like, that just seems so, I don't know how to define it, and I do not want to like denigrate anybody who does it. I feel like you should be offering value to your audience as well. And it has to matter. And if I'm just asking you for something all the time, if I just want your attention and that's it, I have nothing to give you. I don't know, man. The pandering on social media right now is at an all-time high, especially with musicians and artists who are just like, I get it. The world is telling you to stay, look at me. But
Yeah, like people have been incentivized to
Mhm.
just do that because
Yeah.
there have been enough
All you have to do is
success
get one
cases.
viral video,
Yeah.
and that's it.
Yep.
Yeah.
But
Aaron,
that's
I'm
like
curious.
not sustainable. Go ahead. Sorry, Josh.
I kind of want to take us back a little bit because
Yeah.
I'm just curious. You talked about engagement, and as someone who was in kind of the previous music scene back when like a music scene existed, it felt like with live shows, like you were out there with bands, multiple bands, and like every night, like you were playing shows for and like seeing whenever bands would like come out with new music and like how that interaction would happen back then when it was like arguably harder. You were doing less stuff at home and you were doing more stuff in the studio probably and having to like pay more people for mixing and mastering and like producing physical copies of your music, to where we are today of just being able to kind of just whip up your stuff in-house and do it and then have some other people collaborate and then just kind of release it. And you're not necessarily out there like you were playing shows and there was a lot of like hard work and like actually like touring and stuff like that versus like now. I'm just curious to see like how the engagement has changed or in different ways. If it's like, I don't know, if it seems like it's easier because you can do more stuff from the comfort of your home, but you're not getting a lot of those face-to-face interactions with people when you're like playing a show. I'm just curious about that.
Yeah. No, that's a great question, and a lot of people have asked me if I'm ever going to play live, and my answer is yes. But you want to go back to incentives, like I do want to build an audience, but I don't think that the way to do it now is to go out and just hit the road and hope. Because the likelihood of a turnout is low. Especially like I don't even have 2,500 followers on Instagram. I have one song with over 10,000 streams on Spotify. Like no one knows who I am. That's fine. But like no one's out there being like, man, I really wish Kid Again would go on tour. So what I'm trying to focus in on is like, to your point about empowerment, like I make a lot of my own stuff here in my studio and I have a lot of friends that film. So the next thing to do that I'm thinking about is like how to craft and curate live performances that can be accessed on the web, evergreen. Anything, like why go to WEXP or why go to like Tiny Desk? Like when they don't know who I am, why don't I just create it myself? So I do think that artists today, and I think this has always been true, but I just think we're drinking from the fire hose at all times now. Artists really must be everything that they can, like creative director, editor, DP, mixing, producer, like all the stuff, producer, like all the stuff. Artists kind of have to be that if they want to be able to like make the types of content that what I'm trying to do is curate an image like that's consistently like a high bar. And so I'd rather, just like make really good stuff and put out stuff little by little, but I've been like saving up. So like back to Spotify, like the waterfall method is algorithmically, we know that works the best. Like these algorithms just want to be fed. So I'm like, okay, well then I'm just going to wait to put music out until I've got like a bunch in the chamber.
Right.
And I'm going to build all this content out around them. So like I'm trying to stay like 2 or 3 months out in front because I don't have the money or resources to pay a team to be like, I need this on Monday,
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So just trying to utilize the benefit of the double-edged sword that is the empowerment of the artist via the internet now. So,
So I guess if you to be really reductive to kind of take the conversation a little further and maybe kind of circle back to Josh's question, if you could pick the model that you were a part of, say 15 years ago, or I don't know what year we want to slap on it, but the model that existed before and the model as it is in 2024, if you could pick one or the other, which would you pick and why?
I would absolutely pick the one I'm on now. Why? It's so much more comfortable.
Right.
It's more cost effective. Like what I just spent on a video that should have been probably $30,000 was a fraction of that. And that I can't imagine how much money I would spend in gas, insurance, a van. You probably don't need a trailer anymore because everything is so small.
So
but
digital
like
to
losing
go play
my ass
in
every night.
in Tahlequah on a Tuesday.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
Which is a stone's throw away from where I grew up, funny enough. But like, you get what I'm saying? Like formats too.
Yeah.
It's like, what do I take with me? I'm not making CDs. I'm certainly not printing LPs. You know what I mean? Like, so until my approach has been like, I'm going to build what I want. I'm going to do what I want. And once there becomes an audience that is paying attention, I will listen. And once it seems like there's an opportunity on the other side to have people that want to support me in the type of way where they want to buy a shirt or they want to buy an LP, then we'll cross that bridge. But like, that's just not even like the road is so far away from whatever bridge that, you know, like I'm miles from that bridge. But the way the internet works is I could release this single on Friday and, you know, it could hit. It could, or you could be like Joe and release an album 2 or 3 years later. It becomes incredibly popular. Like that's the other beauty of this is like, that's why we as artists have to put stuff out all the time is because it's evergreen. It's always going to live on the internet and it could be found at any moment. It could hit at any moment. A song that came out 2 years ago could be hot today. And so I think the worst thing that
and the barrier for entry is lower.
Yeah.
Like, you're able to to your point, you're able to just do so much now.
Yeah.
With the way things are.
And it's costly in its own strange way and distribution's weird. And I think Spotify probably is like, do you guys know who Ben Jordan is? The YouTuber producer guy? Mm-mm. Man, he has some like really astute observations on the music industry. And I mean, he's been at it with Spotify for a while, and Spotify is a bad model in the long. Jack, the founder of Patreon, like I think it's going to be really get back to like 1,000 true fans.
Right.
You know, you're either going to be a superstar or you're going to have 1,000 true fans and be able to like live off of that. Like I know artists here locally that you guys probably never heard of, but he has so many Patreon subscribers that like he can make a living. He tours on his own, has people show up to the shows, plays at a lot of houses and stuff. But it's like, this is a business at the end of the day. Revenue matters. And right now, you know, I'm just being super vulnerable. Like it's all outgoing. There is no money coming in from Kid Again. This is like the business that hasn't made money, you know, and who knows if it will. Like I really believe in the music I'm making, the things that I'm making, the people that I'm making it with. I have some crazy dreams that I'm not going to share on the air because they are crazy. But like, I'm also kind of like delusional enough to be like, watch me, you know, like, I'm going to do what it takes to the highest of levels, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you got to have that drive, that kernel of like inspiration and passion that's fueling you. So you can't lose that regardless of the model or your situation or your Patreon following or whether you're super famous or you have 2 followers on Instagram, regardless, right? Like you have to still have that sort of like core passion that's fueling you and pushing you forward. Like either way, if you're an artist.
Yeah. I mean, otherwise
you can't quit.
I don't know. Otherwise for me, I love making the music. I don't know, man, all the stuff that follows it, the release plan, blah, 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 that is so ethereal to me because it's like, it's a blank avatar. It might be somebody and it might be nobody, you know? So it's just like, make great stuff, put it out, rinse, repeat. Keep doing that. Yeah. You know?
So my question then to you, as far as on the creative side,
bless you, child,
is thank you, Father. Does it get, because I guess one advantage that I see to, and this is again very reductive, very simplistic, so take it with a grain of salt, but one major difference that I see as far as how music specifically is produced, and I guess other consumables like TV and movies, these other forms of media, but music for sure, the way that it gets consumed is so different now. And so I think that also has a bearing on the way that it gets created being very different, right? So I'd love you to speak to that, Aaron, as far as your experience. But specifically in regard to like, for me, for example, so I'm a foil to your answer. I'll go ahead and just say it's exhausting to me to think about the waterfall, to think about the algorithm, to think about writing this song, writing the next song, recording, mixing, staging things out. That is absolutely the most mind-numbing, overwhelming, exhausting, frustrating thing about the way things work currently. So that's just me putting my cards on the table and again being the foil to maybe whatever your response might be, Aaron. But I'm just endlessly fascinated to hear what you would say about doesn't that kind of kill that core passion, that kernel? And it's a leading question, so feel free to just shoot a hole right through it.
Yeah.
But hopefully you see what I'm saying. It kind of like it's a challenge on the artistic side, on the songwriter side, on the pure creation side of things. It can kind of kill the magic a little bit.
Absolutely.
So I'll set you up with that and just go nuts, man.
Yeah. It is very tiring. Even if it was all I did, it would still be like quite a bit of work. And I feel like, but it's like I give it as much time as I can. And
Sure.
I really try to just focus on like making the music and then trying to be as proactive about thinking forward. This is what I was trying to do when I was launching a YouTube and then quickly like stopped. But it's like, if you can stay, my goal is to get to be like 4 to 6 months out, like between you and me, and I guess this audience now, I have like 15 songs in the chamber, including an album that are like
nice,
finished or just need to be mixed or mastered. But to your point, that's a lot of art, that's a lot of me uploading to all the services. That's me trying to figure out who's going to distribute it, because I'm also, like pivoting in that regard.
Right.
That's me like uploading lyrics, doing the smart lyrics. That's me updating all the PRO information. That's me getting on the MLC and registering. It's like per song, it is like hours and hours and hours of work, not to mention promotion. Promotion is the thing that most people I know that don't have audiences are just unwilling to do. And so I think sometimes there's even like some kind of like moral high ground that I sense there. And I'm just like, well, I mean, either you can start to build an audience or you got to shut up about it, because if you're not willing to put in the work to build the audience, which is to get attention, which is to probably at minimum offer some kind of value to an audience, not just your music, but probably something else too. Like I do that stupid, like, let me teach you how to learn a song bit.
Right.
Just to make people laugh, hopefully. But like, I'm listening and I'm implementing slowly, and I'm taking in data and I'm slowly making changes to where the hope is that I can increase my ROI every time. So I'm trying the waterfall method leading up to an album, because I'm like, all right, here, Mr. Algorithm, like I'll feed you, like, hopefully you like scratch my back too. So like, while it is exhausting, I also just kind of view it as a puzzle. And I'm just trying to solve it. That's it. I'm just trying to solve it. So
that seems like it would appeal to Kylan's sensibilities quite a bit.
Oh, for sure.
Because you're a puzzle dude.
Yeah, I mean, if I didn't have the life that I currently have, the way it's set up with a toddler,
you would be the PR guy emailing us to get streaming.
Once I get my medication figured out, it's all over for y'all. It's we're gonna do a Kid Again and Kylan Savage and a Few Good Men national tour. It's gonna be over for everybody.
Yeah.
As of right now. If you listen to our 2023 wrap up, you know how much I liked History Books by the Gaslight Anthem.
But last time we talked, Kylan, you were wanting to know if this was your favorite record of the year, and you made me listen to it, or you recommended me listen to it.
I made you listen to it.
You made
it's
me
okay.
listen
You can
to
tell
it.
people.
Yeah. He forced me to listen to this.
That's kind of our relationship.
Yep, it is. But I gotta say, despite the harsh circumstances that I was forced to listen to this, I actually enjoyed it a lot.
It was good. Hey, guess what, Josh?
What?
There's more you have to listen to.
Oh, because they just came out with that EP?
That's right.
That's right, they did. Yep. But, History Books, pretty good record,
I would say so. It was my number 3 favorite record of last year.
It made my list, too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
My top 10 as well.
We'll see how this EP holds up, but guess what? It might be in the running. But for all of our listeners that want to experience it, what can you do? I guess you can just go stream it
Yeah,
if you want to,
you could.
or maybe you could buy it.
Yeah, I like that idea.
We recommend doing that. Yeah, that's a good way to do that.
100%. Well, Josh, you're so nonchalant about this. You're like the physical media guy.
Oh, well, I actually got a little distracted because I was actually looking at Collide Records page for the Gaslight Anthem. And let me tell you, if you are a new Gaslight Anthem fan like myself, or if you don't have any of their old stuff, there's plenty for you to find on colliderecords.com. From their 59 Sound album to history books to American slang to even some of Brian Fallon's solo stuff. They've got plenty available for you to pick up.
Oh, and I'm guessing it's at full price, right?
So salty, Kylan.
Well, can you keep it secret? Keep this on the down low right now.
All right.
This is just for
keep
you,
it on the
Kylan.
deal.
This is just for you.
Cool.
I can get you 20% off, bro.
What?
What would you say to
Oh
that?
my God.
Can you believe it?
Okay.
I can't believe it. This is
Yeah,
one
I'm
for
into
the
that.
history books.
Well, if you, TJ, can you tell him how to get it?
Yeah.
I already told him the secret. I feel like I've spilled too much of the beans.
Well, I feel like I'm
Too many
just
beans.
kind of
Give me more beans, TJ.
more beans. Here you go, buddy. It's a guess.
More
I really don't
beans.
know because up till now I didn't know. Josh was kind of letting us in on the secret, but I'm just assuming that if you use those
It's
fingers,
the thing I told you earlier. I just can't tell Kylan too. It's too much of me
Got it.
talking.
Okay, got it, Josh. Thank you.
Guys, I'm
So-
right
yeah.
here.
Well, we'll let you in, buddy.
Give me more
you're in on the
beans.
secret. Here's the beans. We're gonna spill the beans. The discount code is Church Jams now for 20% off on your
All
first
one word?
purchase. All one word, man. It's that easy. So go use those fingers and get 20% off.
I'm going to do that right now.
Make history.
Get you some beans.
Get those beans.
We love iTunes reviews. Whether they're good, whether they're bad, it doesn't matter. We love talking about it because I guarantee you every time someone sends in a new iTunes review, Josh will screenshot it and send it to our group chat. And if it's great, we will give it all the heart emojis. Be like, this is
Yeah.
incredible. And if it's bad, we'll talk about it the rest of the day. But
I
either
usually ignore
way,
it.
it's well, I'll think about it the rest of the day. But
Yeah.
we love it. We appreciate people being honest in their reviews, right? Whether you think we
Yes.
deserve 1 star or 5 stars,
Do we have a new one to share?
we do have a new iTunes review to share. Thank you,
Can
TJ,
we
for
hear
keeping
it?
me on track. So we're going to hand it over to beautiful producer Josh to read our newest iTunes review.
Our newest one. And like you mentioned, Kylan, whether it's 5-star or 2 stars, we'll read it. But this one, I'm happy to say, is a glowing 5-star review.
Woo. It's not just regular, it's glowing.
Yeah. And the name is Jake's Zieski.
Jake Ziski.
Like
Yeah.
Suzuki?
Yeah, Suzuki. Maybe that. But the title of it is Pure Nostalgic Bliss. Jake Suzuki writes, I'm so happy a podcast like this exists. I love the trip down memory lane that each episode brings me and how I'm reminded of so much good, in parentheses, or bad music from my childhood Christian community. Props to y'all and thank you for doing this. Thanks, Jake
Wow.
Suzuki.
Thanks to Ziski.
Jake Suzuki, however you pronounce your name.
Thank you, Jake.
Thank you so much. And if you want to be shouted out in a similarly clumsy manner, leave us a review on iTunes.
We'll apologize now for your name pronunciation, but thank you for your review.
Yes, that
Ahead
was
of time.
awesome. Thank you so much.
Yeah, that
That's
was really
why we
great.
do the show.
Thank you, Jake. We're excited that you're listening. We appreciate it, man.
Yeah, I love that idea of it being a puzzle. TJ, I also fully understand that. Like, it's exhausting. And so like I don't know where I land with it as like a super ADHD creative person, because I do everything in like spurts and I don't have that discipline to be able to like think. That's why we have Josh running the show behind the scenes on
Bless
this, because otherwise this podcast would not exist fully, just full stop.
Yep.
So Aaron, I applaud that forethought that you've put into it, and I so wish that I was capable of that. And I fully like I think that is like that's the way that this business has evolved into, like that's just what you have to do. And so it has been really cool to see, you know, from even like Sons and stuff to what you're doing now, to see you evolve with everything going on, like throwing things out and trying and just sort of gathering that data and just refining it into a way. Like it's really inspirational for me. Like I think that's very cool.
Man, I'm happy to hear that. Yeah. It's my story. I was just talking to a friend of mine, and I was just like, no one is paying attention to you in the way that you think they are.
Right.
And that's both good and bad. But like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like, I say I want to be a superstar, but the reality is like, I don't know if I want to go to the mall and everyone be staring at me. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But like, the reality of it is like, you kind of have to know what you're getting into. You got to be realistic about this, and your expectations. My expectations aren't on who hears it, numbers, blah, blah, blah. My expectations are that I'm just going to keep putting in the work, showing up, writing songs, releasing songs, and making stuff until I'm just like, all right, cool. I don't have it anymore. I don't have it in me anymore. And my gut tells me that in 10 years, I'll still be doing this. And, you know, statistics are in my favor that if I keep going, just like this podcast, like you guys are starting to have on cooler guests with more pull, with larger audiences in and of themselves. Right. And that is going to be part of the way that you grow an audience. But I'll tell you what, man, like I'm not willing to pander. I'm just not willing to do it. I think it's a bad look. And I understand why people do it. I think it works, but I also know that there are other ways, you know, like I reminisce and talk about bands like Dijon and artists like McGee, who like I found McGee, like I guess right before he really exploded. And most of that came from like Dijon getting success, getting to go on tour with Bon Iver. And then, you know, also like the best new artist at the Grammys has been an artist for 10 years. You know what I'm saying? Like,
right. Yeah.
Antics, it's perception. And so the other thing that I really take a lot of solace in is knowing that I control my narrative right now. I don't know how long I'll get to control it, but as long as I'm building my world, hopefully other people are willing to come and live in it and enjoy what I do. But like everybody's listening to somebody else, you know, like I am not getting the streams until I get the streams. Yeah. And whether I put out dope music or not, like I'm not going to quantify it or base it on how many people are going to hear it or not. I care, but only in so much as like it's a mechanism to like be able to continue doing this. You guys matter on the other side of this. Whoever's listening, you absolutely matter. But when I'm in here, I'm not thinking about, man, who's going to like enjoy this. I'm just thinking about, am I in the moment enjoying this?
Yeah.
If I am, that's probably the best sign. Are my collaborators enjoying it? So like something I've noticed for myself is my engagement's pretty good. I don't have a lot of followers or subscribers, but I do have a lot of people that are kind of like, you know, bigger people, larger producer, you know, people that like you might recognize that follow me. And so I'm like, okay, maybe my way in is just through one of those people.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. You never know. Yeah, I mean, we have that, I think, a lot on this show, too. Like, I think we've gotten to the point where we're at by making the show that we want to make with the people that, you know, we want to talk to. And then those people end up having a good time, right? And it's not because, you know, we're not we're not trying to pander to anybody, you know, and based on different guests, like our, you know, the way we do our interviews and stuff is always different. But we're always very authentically ourselves, as probably evidenced by, as we're recording this, our second time covering Jesus Freak by DC Talk comes out tomorrow. And I know everyone's going to be very
It's
mad.
so professional. It's so professional. You know, we've really grown up a lot since it first came out.
Yeah, I mean, we want to be ourselves. And it seems like that's what you're expressing as well. And just
it's letting the work be the main thing, right?
Yeah.
Like finding joy in what you do, in what you make, and like letting that speak for itself. And hoping ultimately that you find your people, that you find the folks that find it really compelling and that lean in to what you do.
And like your secret sauce is that you're you and I'm not, you know, and vice versa. Like the thing that you bring that's like interesting and dynamic and one of a kind is literally you. And
The voice.
And I think the thing that we do as artists often that we really have to fight is like we really listen to the imposter a lot. And what I've noticed being in some of the rooms with some of the people that I really admire, it's like that doesn't seem very present in some of those rooms.
Yeah.
They're able to just set it down.
Yeah.
Or it doesn't even exist.
Right. Like I get the sense Pharrell's walking in a room and he's really not thinking about himself. You know what I'm saying?
No, he's mostly just trying to have fun, probably.
I think
like write something interesting.
I think there's just like an element of owning who you are, your thing, what you have to offer, and understanding the value in that really comes across when you're in a collaborative environment and also when you're putting yourself out there as an artist. Like I feel like as an artist, the most attractive thing that I can offer is the freedom to create in the way that I want to empower you to also to be able to do the same thing. I think that that's something that every artist really, really wants. And I think that that's something that people that listen to music also want, is they kind of want the empowerment of like, yo, this
Freedom.
is like, and also like, I found this music, like, here, do you like this music? You know, like something that's unique. Interesting about them is the fact that they heard an artist that now they can go tell all of their friends about, and they're like, right? You know,
that discovery and then sharing it with people. That's like so powerful on a connective level.
Yeah, and it's easier to do now than ever, but it's also like I said, we're drinking from fire hoses.
So
like,
much,
we're bombarded with content. There is so much music out there to be heard, more than we could ever listen to. Right. So, I mean, I'm grateful I have the streams I have. You know what I'm saying? So,
totally.
No, that really speaks to. Okay, so I know I'm the Church Jams Now resident Chaos Goblin, but part of this conversation speaks to my business. Please Repeat podcast executive producer brain. TJ, that reminds me a lot of your show, Seed of a Song. Which I don't know if listeners know much about it.
Cool name.
But
thank you.
Can you speak to that a little bit in terms of this conversation and how that kind of relates? Because I think it relates fully to what we've been talking about.
Yeah, I guess ultimately it's really, I mean, that show was born out of an entirely selfish place ultimately, but I don't think that makes it, I don't think that's a negative thing. I don't think that's a drawback necessarily, which I think lines up with what you were saying, Aaron, about like finding your voice, the thing that makes you, find it, make it your superpower, lean into it. So my podcast, Seed of a Song, is a live show where I interview artists in the Portland area they play some songs, and I try to get really granular with songwriting, with nerd stuff, gear nerd moments, or like you wrote this because you clicked your blinker on and it set a tempo, and then that you were off to the races. Kind of like getting into the weird parts of songwriting that people don't often get to hear about. And so getting to showcase that for any old artist, like a local Portland singer-songwriter that, you know, doesn't have that wide reach, doesn't, you know, decided not to throw 15K at like a marketing situation, or whatever it is, like, but they get to connect with a potential listener base, but it's ultimately about their voice. It's ultimately about who they are. It's ultimately about what makes them unique, where they're coming from as an artist. And like I said, it was born out of this selfish desire to like learn the weird nitty gritty behind any song that I like, but ultimately it was just something I wanted to share with a lot of people. I didn't want to just have that as like a secret that I kept, but I wanted to like promote these artists and let their listener base or potential followers find out about them and kind of see what makes them compelling and unique and interesting.
All I'm trying to do is get Aaron to go to Portland.
Just fly over to Portland
and
come on, man.
play a live
go.
show and be on Seat of a Song.
Yeah,
because it's
and
a
we
really
do it
cool,
in front of a live audience.
Yeah, exactly. That's the thing I love about it is like it's everything that we've been talking about of like finding this connection and then finding like an interesting way to promote it to a larger audience. But you know, starting out with that really sort of, you know, the focus is really on the art. And there's not this like big paywall of PR and management and all the things. I think it's really cool.
All the bells and whistles.
Yeah.
And it's, to your point, Aaron, that you've made several times, it's evergreen, right? Like that content is going to be out there for people to find years down the road, maybe, when this artist is still just doing their thing. They're in their lane. They've found their, you know, the direction they want to go in, but they also had this podcast that they made a few years ago, and it turned some new listeners on. And then now they've got a following in Milwaukee. I don't know, but because it's global, right? Because the internet does connect. Yeah, there you go. Tahlequah. It can connect you to audiences across the globe. I think it's kind of a unique opportunity.
Sounds dope.
Yeah.
It's rad.
So come to Portland, man.
Aaron, you got to do it. You got to do the show.
Okay.
on the Kid Again tour,
it's a live show. Yeah.
I'm working on the live stuff, so.
After the album drops,
All right.
That's cool. I do have a question.
Of course you do.
Jump in.
Please.
If I may. Aaron, you were talking about how all the artists have the imposter and you try not to listen to. I'm curious in this day and age, and I don't want to assume, I'm not assuming this about you or even about like some of the artists that you work with, but I'm just, if you have encountered it with, even just with you or with other people, or if it's a thing like we have the imposter, but you also have like nowadays you have the influencer that you're like, when you're making a song, is there ever a part of you or people that you're working with that comes in that like a thought of like, oh, if I went this could be a TikTok thing, or this could catch fire on a YouTube short or a reel or something like that. Like, have you encountered that personally, or is that like something that like by proxy you hear people pushing in the industry a little bit more? Like, I'm curious about that.
That's a good question.
Yeah, I mean, I really only have one songwriting partner that focuses on that, and he's really good at it. And he's also like incredibly attractive. So he does pretty well on TikTok. Always like, you got to get on TikTok. You got to get on TikTok. Yeah, I mean, it's not around my sphere a whole lot. But I do, there are a lot of conversations surrounding this type of thing, which is like, how do you break through? How do you break through all the noise? And, you know, I've put a lot of eggs in the Instagram basket. I've done nothing on TikTok, but I've had so many people that are like, man, you'd probably blow up on TikTok. And I'm just kind of like, I am at capacity with what I can doing right now.
Yeah.
And eventually I'll go to TikTok, and maybe I'll be kicking myself that I didn't do it sooner. But my guess is if I experience any type of success there, I'll just be glad that I did. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like,
Mm-hmm.
though I've encountered it a little bit, it never really seeps into the songwriting aspect of things. Like, I just wrote a song that sounds kind of like, do you guys know who Gene Dawson is?
Nope.
Sounds kind of like
I
Gene
know the
Dawson
name.
meets Turnstile meets like Blink 182.
Okay.
Okay.
And like,
Oh, okay.
I wouldn't even expect that from myself. The only thing that I picture is like what that would feel like in front of people. Like, I do picture how songs might play in a set or whatever. Like, I ideate on that all the time, or not all the time, but
Right, the
sometimes.
live show.
Like, I'll be honest, like, most of the social content that I come up with is completely reactive. Like, all the, like, let me teach you how to write a song. That's all right in the moment. Like, I came up with that idea right then. I'm gonna record it. That was my deal. Was like, I don't want to be living on Instagram. I post enough as it is, in my opinion. Statistics say I should post more, and I'm just like not willing to. But I post more than a lot of people, and so I do think about how to work a song, but I'm never in the moment like thinking like, would this hit on TikTok or would this do really well on Instagram? That's all reactive. That's all like, okay, how do I need to market this song? What can I do? So,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
So I'm personally curious. You know, we've talked a lot about the waterfall method. So, like, how does the songwriting process for you personally fit into all of this? Like, do you spend like a chunk of time being like almost like making an album? Like, I'm like, you're doing your pre-production, your production, and then you have all this stuff in the bank, or are you just kind of working on all of it in bits and pieces, like at a time?
I'm working on all of it in bits and pieces all of the time. Yeah. So like, I write with a dude locally named Taylor a lot. We'll do 45, 60 days in the studio. We do a lot of sync music. So we should have a new thing that's out available on like the music bed and like getting placed out in the world and TV shows, hopefully. But like most of the time I just show up here and I'm just writing. A lot of it is like, a lot of stuff starts as like a voice memo. I've gotten to the point where I open Pro Tools the first thing that I get here. And if I have an idea, cool. If I have an idea in the car on the way home, on the way here, I open that thing immediately and I just go. So I'll spend 30 minutes, an hour, 2 hours on different stuff. I'm in the middle of scoring like one feature right now, jumping into another soon, but I still open up Kid Again projects, still listening to demos. It's just a constant thing, because I really think if showing up, doing the work consistently, if I get an hour in a day writing for me and my project, that's usually enough.
Right.
Get to the next point, which is like going to LA to finish it or having people here to help me finish it. But that's the power of collaboration too, is like I can walk away from something and somebody can keep working on something. I'm writing with my friend Jack out in LA right now. He's the one that actually wrote that like song that I was just talking about. And we're doing the whole Avid link, I can download the Pro Tools session like in the session as a project. Never really worked like that before, but we're just bouncing ideas back and forth. It's really nice to have somebody that will also keep kicking the can down the road. It's really important. But the goal is just like proliferation of music for the sake of music. And the plan then follows. Like, the larger plan is to release an album. The day-by-day plan is to like finish a verse,
Nice. Yeah.
or like arrange this song that has a lot of potential. But like the overarching reality is that this is all ethereal, not real until you make it so. And so I'll have a lot of songs if I show up and I keep writing. That's the big difference between people who wish they had a bunch of songs and people who do. Is the people who wish are ideating, and the people who are doing are reaping all of the success benefits. Like that's what I've seen. When I started seeing producers that just show up and write songs in a day, I was like, oh, That's why they're so good. They
Right.
do these every day, all the time, and they've done it for 8, 10, 15, 20 years. No wonder they're great at it, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
So my advice to anybody that has a project like this is like show up every day and do something. Do some type of work. Like I was writing an article earlier for a music video that I had that I'm trying to get featured, you know, like you're no, like I said, you're the captain of your ship. No one is coming to save you. It is all on your shoulders until you become valuable enough to enough people to say, "Hey, we want to manage you, or we want to book for you, or we want to, you know, do a distro deal, or we want to sign you." Whatever the case is,
Right.
like it's all up to you. It's all up to you. So that's my approach.
I love that.
Always be writing. So.
Yeah.
ABW.
ABW. Ah, that made me
And
say it.
seriously, not joking, but like the best thing that any musician, writer, songwriter could do right now is be quick on the draw with a voice memo, because it's low hanging fruit and it's
Yeah.
negligible. You know, like if the best idea can happen and be gone in 5 seconds. So
Right.
like get
So
it.
true.
That's been the number one boon to my songwriting is if I have an idea, my assumption is that it'll be gone soon. So I just get it no matter how I can. I'll be driving down the road. I'll be like, you know, like I have this idea. It'll leave. The
Yeah,
moment
yeah.
I'm like, I'll be at the studio in 5 minutes. I'll remember it. No, you won't.
Yeah.
Never.
No.
No, you won't.
Best
You never
ideas
will.
are remembered. You need to be your like own historian, own cataloger. That is the best thing that anybody could do when it comes to writing is like get your ideas down. Period.
For sure.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, this like honestly, that was an incredible button. I think on this conversation. So I want to transition really quickly, Aaron, to talk about Kid Again and what you have coming out really soon. Let's start plugging stuff.
Yos.
Yeah.
Yeah, I want to hear all about what you've got in the pipeline, man. Like, tell us everything.
Well, so like the first single of a few to come to be followed with an album is coming out this Friday, which is August 2nd. And it's a self-titled song. So the song comes out shortly thereafter, a music video shortly thereafter, a remix, which is really dope that my friend Keith Sweaty made up in Milwaukee, and then a performance video for that.
A self-titled song. The song Kid Again by the artist Kid Again?
Yeah.
Nice.
love
On
it.
the album
Great.
Kid Again?
I don't know what the album would be called. Yeah, I really don't know.
Okay. Still TBD.
The song just like I literally say like I want to be a kid again, I want to have some fun in it, and I was like, this song is just called Kid Again. It's like truly the embodiment. It's like it also sounds so much like where I've been wanting to go.
Right.
My friend Logan Brune in Tulsa produced and helped write, as did my friend Tyler Sexton, who played all over it and co-produced and co-wrote, and they're just phenoms. And then my buddy Bender mixed it. It kind of is this marriage of like sort of like Bon Iver meets like the R&B sensibilities of even like it feels almost like throwback to me too at times, which is really cool. It's a very dynamic song. I think a little bit out of left field from what I've been doing, and kind of a good course to set coming forward. So there's going to be 3 more singles that follow September, October, and sometime in the late fall, early winter is going to be the album. I'm not paying attention to the idea that, you can't release an album in, November or whatever. Like,
Right.
I think it's insane.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not going to put music. I'll wait till February. Like, that's insane. So yeah, hopefully the album will be done and out this year. If not, it'll just be a ton of singles. And I have like an entire other album's worth of songs that are already in the making that will follow even that. So the goal is really just to finally be putting out music on the regular consistently every month or so. So that's what's up, and shooting a bunch of music videos with a bunch of talented people. I don't know if you caught my music video for In You. It's stunning.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I think trying to set a high bar with all of this content and create like a consistent brand to me is really important. I want to be able to look back and be like, everything I've done is like of a caliber that I really, really am reaching for, like it's hard work to make this stuff cool and good, and it takes a lot of time and energy. And to me, that's the absolute best thing I could do for myself and for my audience is just be like, I poured myself into this. This stuff is dope. I think you'll enjoy it. Yeah. Hopefully you do. So that's what's up. That's what I'm working on.
Nice. What can you tell us about the concept of the video for Kid Again?
It's the concept of the video. I'm going to butcher it, but like basically you see me as like a young version of me at a certain point, who's played by
Timothy Chalamet.
Well, interestingly, young me is played by, I feel bad, I can't remember his name, but he was the son of Leonardo DiCaprio's character in Killers of the Flower Moon.
Oh, wow.
Oh, okay. No way.
Yeah. But
nice, dude.
He plays young me, looks like me, and he's like, he's got this friend, she's a girl, they're obviously just like kids having fun, like, and then they reconnect later in the video through a series of like, you know, kind of a series of events where you kind of watch me sort of like come up with the song reminiscing upon my childhood. Because the entire ethos of not just this song, but this project is to be able to create with the ultimate freedom in fear of no judgment, because judgment isn't even a concept that you've
that you know at that age.
You know, like it's literally not a concept that you're aware of, you know? So
yeah,
that's the whole idea behind Kid Again too. And that's why I feel like it's such a universal idea is like, as creatives, is that not what we're trying to tap into, which is like a judgment-free zone? Yeah. Like that's where
just
I want to
full liberation and play.
So
that's awesome.
I love it. That's the goal. Yeah, and I think this song is dope. I mean, hats off to Logan and Tyler. I'm really proud of it. Everybody involved that's helped me in crafting the art. Spencer, my friend Jansen, Charlie Muller directed the video. Easton Oliver DP'd it, and a slew of other people that crewed it and were extras, and you know all that stuff. You know, everybody. Nice. A part of this to me is like that's the true joy is like getting to make stuff with other people.
Right.
That you
yeah.
What was it? It Takes a Ton. Was that it?
It take one. It takes a ton.
Takes a ton.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I love it.
That's me in a nutshell, right?
Nice, man.
Yeah.
That's Sweet. Beautiful. I love it. Well, Aaron, thank you so much for coming on to our show. This feels like a Patreon episode that we're doing on main feed. I love it. I love the energy because this is
here for it.
All like this is the kind of stuff we talk about on our Patreon. But you know, we've been relatively strict. Josh has been relatively strict about what we're allowed to post on our main feed. So, Aaron, you should take this as a compliment that Josh wants this out to the masses.
Very much so. And I'll send you guys the song so you can hear it.
Please.
Yes.
Please, yes.
Oh, I can't wait.
So, Aaron, do you want us to play like a clip from the song at the end of the episode?
Yeah,
you want to send it to us? Okay.
Yeah.
Sweet.
Sick.
Just send it to us and we'll add it in. We'll fix it in post. Sweet. So I'm going to do our little outro. If you enjoyed this, we have more nonsense like it at our Patreon at patreon.com/ChurchJamesNow podcast. From all of us here at the Church James Now crew, may all your favorite bands stay together, and peace out, Mon Frères.
Here, following the disconnected hearts of everyone that I used to know when I was just a kid. Remember what it was like when we were 9? I can't recall, so take me back in time. I wanna be a kid again. I wanna have some fun. Trying to connect the dots of humans, but no one said that I'm alive. just